Hi there everybody, it's Lynnea for InkOn3. I'm going to be playing with the brand new Wonky Lines Stencil. I love stripes and polka dots, but particularly stripes. Everybody used to make fun of me when my son was an infant because he had stripes in his wardrobe almost every single day. I love all kinds of stripes, straight stripes, and wonky. So I definitely was excited to see this new wonky stripe stencil, and I was excited to play with it today. I'm going to be pairing it with the Lilac Dreams stamp set. This is one that's new to my craft room, so this is my first time inking this up and playing with it, and it's an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous stamp. I'm going to use Blackout Hybrid Detail ink to stamp this down a couple times until I get a black outline, and then I will use my Copic markers to color in this image. Outside of my house, in my backyard, we have a white lilac tree, and I think when most people think of lilacs, you think of the purple version, but I happen to love the white ones. I love white flowers, and I think white lilacs are just super pretty. So I'm going to color these in white. I'm starting with a C3 marker, and with no rhyme and no reason at all, just kind of putting down a little dash mark of that C3 onto each one of the lilacs. Then I'm coming in with C0, and again, not completely coloring each petal, just kind of extending that dash line a little bit, giving each flower a little bit of shadow. But this is sped up 2 times as fast, but I think it took me probably a minute and a half to color in the whites of those flowers. I took a V22 marker, and I'm coloring in the centers of each of the lilacs to be purple. I thought I would bring in just a little splash of color in the center, but it wasn't dark enough. So I'm coming in now with V25, darkening up that center a little bit, and then I'll go back over that with the V22 just a little bit. And then I do think that I went back over some of those with a C0 marker just to kind of blend that out a little bit. Now for my leaves, I did use a little bit more color here because the leaves are bigger and kind of bolder. I used a YG17 marker, YG25, and then YG23, and finished off with YG21. Just coloring dark to light, adding shadows first, and blending out those shadows until I have the whole leaf colored. You could definitely cut around the stamp set easily with your scissors and create a dimensional card, but I wanted to create a 1-layer masked background. So I'm stamping the same image from the Lilac Dreams stamp set onto some Gina K Designs Masking Magic. Again, using my Blackout Hybrid Detail ink because I know this ink is going to dry fast, and this Gina K Designs Masking Magic has a sort of slick surface. So I'm going to cut around that with my scissors, leaving just a little bit of a white border, and then I'm going to place this right over my colored image on my background, and I'm going to stencil over top of it with the Wonky Lines Stencil. Because I left a little bit of a shadow, a little bit of a border around when I fussy cut out that image, you're going to have a little bit of a break in between the stenciling lines and where the image is. But if you wanted to take the time to carefully and detail cut out the Lilac Dream stamp, you definitely could. I'm an impatient and kind of lazy crafter, so I just cut it out like I normally would. Now I sprayed the back of my Wonky Lines stencil with pixie spray. Anytime you have a stencil with a lot of detail, like the Wonky Line stencil, there's these thin lines, I like to use pixie spray. And I was sure to spray the background with the grain of the stencil so I could make sure that I got enough spray on there to hold it. And then I used my brayer at the back to make sure that I got some even pressure. Sometimes I can't press hard enough with just my fingers, so I used my brayer just to make sure that the Wonky Line stencil was making contact everywhere with my cardstock and none of those lines would shift. I went back and forth between should I use my Jam Purple Atelier ink on my background, but I thought that using Blackout Hybrid Detail ink to stencil would just really be a bold background, and I love bold, so I went with the black. I removed that stencil, and now it's time to remove the mask. I'm going to remove it carefully so that I can keep it with my stamp set and use it on future cards. But check this out, isn't that so pretty? It almost gives that Lilac Dream stamp a three-dimensional look because I left that border when I fussy cut, so the wonky lines don't come all the way up to the flower. I grabbed a sentiment die from my stash that just says "So Grateful." I wanted to keep the front, or sentiment rather, simple. So I cut it twice from black cardstock and then twice from white cardstock. And I wasn't sure. I played around with whether I wanted black on top or white on top. And I decided to go with black in the background, white on top, but kind of offset it a little bit to create a shadow. And I think that that really goes along well with the background. So I have double-sided adhesive that I used on all of these die cuts to easily adhere them together. I'm going to press them onto my card, again using my brayer. The brayer has been one of my most used craft tools recently for getting even pressure in ways that I wouldn't normally think to use. I wanted to add a little touch of something special to the card, so I used my liquid pixie dust that I keep in my small watercolor brush, and I went all over the flowers as well as the sentiment, and check out that sparkle and shine. And that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I linked the InkOn3 products that I used in the video description below, and I'll see you later. Bye! Thank you again very much for watching this video. If you liked this video and you'd like to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button that is on the screen now. And here are a few other videos that I thought you might enjoy.